Okay, so let's talk a little bit about fertilizer. Here I have a box of RX15 made by the Kiwi Polish Company, which is shoe polish company. And it's RX15. Now this is a mixed bag. I had helped clean out an old lady's garage, and she had 5 or 6 different types of fertilizer for her plants. So I just threw them all in one box and brought it home. But on this box, this is the important part, the 15, 30, 15. Now what does that stand for? Well, the first number is nitrogen. The second number is phosphorus. And the last number is potassium, usually as soluble potash. Wood ash is another good source. So you look at this, okay, what does it mean? Well, nitrogen, the first number, promotes leaf development. That's, if you put it on your lawn, your grass will grow quickly. The middle number is the phosphorus. Now the phosphorus and the potassium, they have kind of overlapping roles. They both have something to do with the growth itself. So the most important part about the phosphorus, it plays a key role in the plant growing its roots and blooming and producing fruit. The last one, the potash, or potassium, it also has to do with root development, but also stem development. So if you're having plants that have a long, weak stem, you increase the amount of potash and the stem will be stronger. So that's just a basic overall look. There's also a bunch of other stuff, micronutrients, zinc, iron oxide, copper, that sort of thing, depending on your mix. That'll always be put on here. So originally this had magnesium, iron, copper, zinc, boron, and molybdenum, however you pronounce that. But those are all tiny percentages. So that's this box. This one here, plant food. 28, 10, 10. Now there is other stuff, of course, but 28, high nitrogen, and lots of phosphorus and potassium to back it up. So this will be really good for growing your plants, getting them started, getting them going. A little bit hot on the nitrogen, a little hotter than I like to see. Now this is another one that I have laying around. This is actually a 20-20-20. It's a nicely balanced all-purpose plant food. Again, there's other stuff added in, but this one I like the best so far. I would prefer to get a 20-10-20, which is a good all-around multi-purpose fertilizer. But this is as close as I could get. And again, you look on the back. It has boron, manganese, copper, iron, zinc. So all of these got micronutrients added in that you need, especially the zinc. So that's those 3 fertilizers. Now this is a fertilizer I've used for a long, long time. So it's from MaxiCap International, and it's a 437. So lighter on the nitrogen and a whole lot heavier on the potassium, or rather the phosphorus. So this one here I've used for years and years. This MaxiCap system, I've probably used for better than 15 years. The system, it's a hybrid hydroponics and dirt. So the top, the bag, the plant bag, I believe is just sphagnum moss. I'm not sure. Peat moss. I'm not sure. Haven't actually looked at what the composition on them. And then you have a 40-liter tank underneath, which you fill with water, and it's self-watering. Put in MaxiCap International. Website will pop up, and you can get these, the boxes, the plant bag, all online. They're great. I've used them for years and years. Growing tomatoes is just, there is no comparison to using this system and planting your tomatoes in the dirt. Plant your tomato in the dirt, yeah, you'll get 10, 15 tomatoes maybe at a picking. I would get between 200 and 300 tomatoes every 2 days. They're great. So, having said all that, let's have another look at the water. And you'll see I have a nice little Chinese garlic chive sitting here. So again, I have this TDS3, which is a total dissolved solids. If you look inside, there's 2 electrodes and 1 more nub. The little nub there is for temperature, so it can tell you the temperature of your solution. And then 2 electrodes for testing your total TDS. So let's put that in there. Hit the hold button. We pull it out. It says 000 parts per million. That is distilled water. There's nothing in it other than water. This is standard tap water. So we'll put it in. Hit the hold button. We'll have a look at that. Okay, so it's 170 parts per million. Don't know what it is that's in there, but obviously there's chlorine and various things that have washed out of the mountains through our water system. So that's always a good thing to know to your start position. So I'll just put that off. Your distilled water. Now I have here the spoon that you use, and it came out of this box. So the best thing to do is read your box. What's your application? Indoor plants, 2.5 ml or half a teaspoon, which is the small end, per 4 liters of water. Outdoor plants, you mix 22 ml, which is the large scoop, per 6 liters, or 1.5 gallons. So that's what's recommended on that one. So here we have our distilled water. We'll just check it again just to make sure we haven't got confused. Yep, it's reading 0 parts per million. We'll just take a little bit of this fertilizer here. There, if you can see that, boy, that's a lot. Let's throw that in. We'll just give it a little swirl round. Now, that was the distilled water. It read 0 parts per million. Throw that in, hit the hold, and now, although you probably can't see it, it's 356 parts per million. So the nice thing about this, okay, you can see that we added in the fertilizer. It's definitely increased the parts per million, so we know the fertilizer's in there. So I'm going to mix up a bit. Let's just throw that in here. And here's some more water. Let's throw that in. And we're going to add a little more water to this. That should be enough. Pull out a swizzle stick. These here are just your little wooden kebab sticks. You buy them and you got a dozen or two to play with. So let's just increase the amount of fertilizer we have in this cup. There, that is lots. Give it a good stir. So in reality, that amount of fertilizer is probably more than what you need. So let's check this one. You dip her in, give it a bit of a swirl around, hit the hold button. So we're now up to 590 parts per million. Just a second, I'm going to go get a pen. So I wrote down the 590 parts per million. That's what we have here. So if you have one of these testers, and they're only like $25 maybe, they're quite inexpensive, but they're a good information tool. So let's pull my guy over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just water this so that it runs out the bottom. This is how you would normally water your plants. You keep pouring it in till it runs out the bottom, and then you know you've got a sufficient amount of water. You can come back another 2 or 3 days later, depending on your plants of course, to see how much water you have left. So we'll just keep pouring that in. You can possibly see down below here where that water's come all the way through. This plant was relatively moist. I'd watered it previously, but seeing as it's sitting there so nicely on that glass, we'll just keep pouring it through. So this guy is a little bit overwatered. I don't normally put that much water in, but one of the interesting things is when you've run their water through, you again take your meter and you put it in, hit the hold, and now we have 225 times 10 parts per million. So what's happened here is that I've actually been over fertilizing this plant. I've been putting too much fertilizer in, and you can see that pouring that water through, it's rinsed out a lot of the stuff. So I've been a couple of different things. I've been making my fertilizer too strong, and I've been using too much. So that's one thing this machine will tell you, is how you're doing with the amount of fertilizer. So then I need to take and readjust the amounts I'm putting in. This is one of the best ways to see how you're doing with your fertilizer. So I'm over fertilizing this plant. So the next month, I'll just use straight water. That's what I'll do. So that basically is a quick overview of the fertilizers that I have laying around the house. Of course, I do have some other stuff for playing with my tomatoes in the boxes. Royal Gold, this is a flowering catalyst. 010, it also, When your plants are young, you use this. It improves their rooting ability. This one here is an 0.44, and it's good for supporting bloom growth, and it still has other stuff that it's putting into the plants that they need during, you know, the blooming and the fruiting. This here's calcium and magnesium, which is a supplement. It's rated at 100, so there's not a lot of nitrogen in, but it's got 5% calcium, 1.5% magnesium, and a little bit of iron. So again, this is good stuff for treating your water. So there you basically have it. Pick up one of these TDS meters, mix your fertilizer as per instructions, and do the test before you put it in your plants. If you're able to get the runoff, test it. It will tell you how you're doing with the amount of fertilizer and adjust as you go along. Well, that's it for this one. I think I've covered everything. If anybody has questions, feel free to ask. And I'll see about producing another video later. Have a good day.